I think I got it. Let's see what the TVs look like. This part. This is crazy. Test.
You know, it's funny. I leave the house to come down. It takes me 2 seconds to the house. Good to go.
Just about. Just about. There we go. I think it might be me. Yeah. Here we go. Adele, where are you? I don't know what I did. All right. Think I got it. How you doing? Good. What's today's date?
That would be really nice. I can go down.
Two. This one. Cool.
So that's you know, as far as doing the job around, even no big deal. Get there.
It's the most stressful. She's missing something. Test, test. Hey, how you doing? How's everything? Friday, July 21st. Yes. Things are good. Can't complain. Yes. So many of these red books. Oh, please talk. We still got another 2 minutes. The silence is killing me. No, got a few minutes to go. Well, if you could kindly find your seats. I see you found them. Yeah. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 da, da, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 da, da, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, yeah, da, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, yeah, da, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Two. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 da, da, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Kids, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Yes, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Now, time for some good news. Let's see if we can make this work. Yay! Whoop, wrong one. Floor Shulchan, open sanctuary number 5. Okay. Here we go. All right, Adele, where are you? Time for some good news. There's got to be some good news. I see a hand up. Please identify yourself and then tell us your good news.
My name is Carol Wellens, and my good news is that my granddaughters are coming home from camp on Sunday. I'm going to get to see them on Monday, and it's very exciting because my family who live in Virginia will also be up here because she goes to camp because my granddaughter in Plymouth goes to camp. So I'm going to see all of them on Monday, so I'm very excited for that. Camp Pembroke.
Any Pembroke people there? No, that's okay, yeah. And actually, this coming Sunday is visiting day. I'm going to get to see my grandson as well, and whether he wants to see me, I'm not sure. But he's at Young Judea. That's where he is. So, of course, I never got to go to camp. My sister went to camp. I didn't get to go to camp. She went to Yavna. Any other? I know. I had so much excitement during the summers. I got to spend 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, at Hebrew College, taking courses. Yeah, Esther was there with me too. It's like, I hated it. But anyways, here I am as a rabbi. Anybody else? No. Anyways, it was a great time for me, believe it or not. I got to bond with some friends from other cities and towns and learned about Judaism. I know. No, Esther asked me if I had a choice. Actually, I did have a choice. I had a choice whether to go to summer school and take off. It was either 2 or 3 of the evenings. I didn't have to go through during the regular season if we took the summer school. So I didn't want to go Sunday through Thursday every single day. So summer school seemed to be the option for Hebrew College anyways. And I got to play some sports. It was a lot of fun after school. We would like street hockey and things, and I'd break a window and the janitor would charge me $5 to fix it every time. All right, now we turn to page 13 as we introduce the Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And on page 14, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Mishoch Avdach, El Ritzonach, Yaharutz Avdach, Kimo Ayal, Yishtachave El Mul Hadarach, Yerav Lo Yedidutach, Mino Fetzov, V'chol Tam, Yadadai, 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 And on the bottom of 14, let's read together a Sabbath prayer. Dear God, help us now to make this a new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to touch those we love. After concentration on work and responsibility, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world you are creating. We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others, and we reach toward one holy, perfect moment of Shabbat. And now on page 15, the Chuna Ranana. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, ladonai. Naria, letzo yish enu nikadma, fana betoda. Naria, letzo yeshenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, ladonai. Arbaim shana akot bedor va'omaram toev levavhen vehem lo yadu drachai Hashem nishbati v'yapi im yavo'un el menuchati. And on page 16 we'll read responsively Psalm 96. Sing a new song to Adonai, acclaim Adonai, O people on earth. Proclaim each day God's awesome might. Announce to the world God's glory and wonders. For Adonai is great, deserving of praise. Adonai alone is to be revered as God. All the gods of the nations are nothingness, but Adonai created the heavens. Majesty and might accompany God. Splendor and strength adorn God's sanctuary. All families of nations acclaim God's majestic power. Acknowledge God's glory and bring him tribute. Worship Adonai in resplendent reverence, and let the earth tremble in God's presence. Declare to the world Adonai is sovereign. God has steadied the world which stands firm and judges all nations with fairness. Let the heavens rejoice. Let the earth be glad. Let the sea and all it contains exult. Let field and forest sing for joy. Adonai comes to rule the earth, to rule the world justly, the nations with faithfulness. Yismechu hashemayim v'tagel haaretz, Yiram hayamum lo, Ya'alo sarai v'chol asher bo, asher ranenu kol otzei ya'ar. Lift Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, v'yamim be'emunato. Now on page 20, we rise for the Mizmor LeDavid, a song of David, Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shimo, ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai, Adonai, al mayim rabim, kol Adonai b'koach, kol Adonai b'hadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayishabir Adonai et azei halvanon, vayakidem kimo egel, Levanon v'Sirion, kimo, ven re'emim, kol Adonai chotzet lavotesh, kol Adonai yachil, midbar yachil, Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yechol elayalot, vayachasof ye'arot, uvhechalo kulo, omer kavod, Adonai lamavu yasho, vayeshev Adonai, melech leolam, Adonai oz li'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. You may be seated. So, Tisha B'Av's coming up this Wednesday night and Thursday. And they say that you're supposed to limit a little bit of your excitement about celebrating Shabbat, and that with L'chad Dodi and a few other songs, you're supposed to sing it in a little slightly different tune, like you would sing Lamentations, like Anyways, it's a little bit morbid. It's a little down. So I'm not going to do that tune. I'm going to do the regular tune anyways for Shabbat. We got kids here. So we'll do it the regular way. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamo v'zacho b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'teferet v'litila, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Migdash melachim melucha, Kumitzi mitoch afecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, Behu yachamol alayich emla, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoriri, Kiva ore kumi ori, shidaberi, Kivod Adonai alayik nigla, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. V'hayulim shisa sho sayich, V'rachaku kom mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kim soskatan al kala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Bawi v'shalom materet bala, Gam b'simcha u'tala, Toch emunei am segula, Bawi chala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. And of course, we rise and we turn to the, you may be seated right now, but of course, the Bawi v'shalom, we bow down, and usually those who are in mourning start to come into the temple at this particular time, right about at the Baruch. But in the old temple times, they had a separate door where mourners would walk in. It was to the other side, I don't know, east, west, whatever it was, but it wasn't the main entrance. And the example was to show the people, number one, they had the support of all the community, but nobody ever entered the doors alone. They entered with a whole bunch of other people who were also mourning as well. So they realized that they weren't alone, and it wasn't just, oh, I'm suffering, nobody else is. There was a whole crowd coming in through that door. And then, of course, we welcomed them after the Kabbalat Shabbat. So with that, let's read responsibly on page 23, Psalm 92, a song for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God. To your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of it. Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation. How vast your works, Adonai, your designs are beyond our grasp. The thoughtless cannot comprehend, and the foolish cannot fathom this. The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but the doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever. Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble. But me you have greatly exalted. I'm anointed with fragrant oil. I've seen the downfall of my foes. I've heard the despair of my attackers. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God. They shall bear fruit even in old age, and they shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. And of course, 4 lines from the bottom on 23. Tzadikata yifrach, ke'erez bavanon yeskeh, shetolim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, od yenovon B'seva, Tishenim v'rananim, Yeyu lehagid, Ki yashar Adonai tzuri, V'lo avlatabo. Page 24, reservations. Eidotecha ne'emnu miod, levekanav kodesh Adonai, liorech yamim. And now mourners, those observing your side, mourners Kaddish, middle of page 24. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Bialma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chaye chon uv'yomei chon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uv'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei kucha barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiram bi'alma v'yamru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Now we all rise for the Baruch Hu, our official opening of the evening service, page 28. Baruch Hu et Adonai Havarach. Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. And we continue silently, page 28. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Machlom. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila l'nai tzavot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. And we sing together Ahavat Olam, page 29. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael amcha havta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shachveinu v'kumeinu, nasiach v'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hein chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, v'yavatcha taseh mimenu le'olamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol avavcha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha b'derech u'b'shachbecha u'b'kumecha u'kishatam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafod b'eineinecha u'ketavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sharecha. And soundly to the bottom of the page. למען ירבו ימיכם וימי בניכם על הרמה שנשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת להם כמי השמיים על הארץ. And together on 31. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית, הוריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות בכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ונר שלחנו שירה, ושמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ובניך בוקעם לפני משה, זה אלי ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלם את חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. Pardon me. And on top of page 33, we read in English together. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace and guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy and shield us from enemies, pestilence, starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise that you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, haporez sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Now we rise for the Vishamru, top of page 34. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti li'olam, oti li'olam, oti li'olam. Bishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Yitkada shmei rabbah v'yamad dirakrutev yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayeducho bet Yisrael bagala bagala ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירון ביומה ויאמרו אמן. And we remain standing for the silent Amidah, page 35A or B, through page 38. When we're done, you may be seated. So on page 38, let's read together the middle paragraph. My God, keep my tongue from evil and my lips from lies, and help me ignore those who would slander me. Let me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. Frustrate the designs of those who plot evil against me and make nothing of their schemes. Act for the sake of your compassion, your power, your holiness, and your Torah. Answer my prayer for the deliverance of your people. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'yemru Imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, amen. And may the one who brings peace to his universe bring peace to us and to all the people Israel and to all who dwell on this earth, and let us say amen. So this time I'm going to say a prayer for those who aren't feeling well. You know, we kind of took up this prayer on Friday nights ever since COVID, and we're going to continue with it for a while. Mishaberach avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarivka Rachel v'Leah hu Yavarik v'Rapei et. May God who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, please bring blessing and healing to. Feel free to put in a name who needs extra little blessings. And to all those who suffer illness within our congregational families, may the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them physical and spiritual well-being. Together, that we had hope and pray that healing is at hand, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach avotenu, mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength to bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu, mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And now we rise for the Vayachulu on page 47. Vayachulu hashamayim leharetz v'chol tzivam vayikal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa Vayevarech Elohim et Yom HaShvi'i, Vayikadesh oto, Kivo Shavat Mikol Melachto, Kivo Shavat Mikol Melachto, Asher bara Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Konei Shamayim va'aretz. You may be seated, and now is also a good time to begin to pass out the wine and the grape juice. Magen avot bidvaro, mechaye metim b'ma'amaro, ha'el hakadosh she'en kamohu, hameniach le'amo b'yom Shabbat kadsho, kivam ratza le'aniach lahem, Kivam ratza le'aniach lahem, lefanav navod b'rava fachad, v'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid me'on habrachot. El hahodaot Adon shalom, Mikadesh hashabat umevarek shvi'i, umetniach b'kedusha liam medush neoneg, zecher l'maseh v'reishit. Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu, ritzei b'mnuchatenu, Kodshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'techolkeinu b'toratecha, sabheinu mituvecha, v'samcheinu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu li'avadecha be'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, B'ahava u'ratzon, Shabbat kadshecha, v'nuchu v'Yisrael, mikadeshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. Yitkadav yitkadav shmei rabbah, B'alma divrakute v'ilek malchute, B'chaye konu v'mechonu v'chay d'chol beit Yisrael, B'agala v'zman kariv v'yamaru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach, Le'alam alamei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpar v'yitrama min ha'aseh v'yidadav v'yitalav v'yitalav shmei d'kutsha, Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbakata v'nechamata damiram b'yama v'yamaru. Amen. Titka bal tzalot tahonda va'uta honda ko Yisrael kadam avu hondi v'shmaya v'yamaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al ko Yisrael v'yamaru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mrom avu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al ko Yisrael v'yamaru. Amen. Now we rise for Kiddush on page 49. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho v'ahava ratzonin kilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, קיבלנו ואכלת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך, ואהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. And you may be seated. That's sweet. That sure is sweet wine, isn't it? Could use a few ice cubes if you ask me. It'd be a nice wine cooler. So it was, I don't know how many, 6 months ago, there was a while back that I did a talk, a lunch and learn on fast days. And I'm going to touch a little bit upon that, but this Wednesday night and Thursday is Tisha B'Av. So I thought it'd be very appropriate to talk about that day. I'm not going to call it a holiday. It was a day of tragedy, of course. And I'm talking about other fast days too, but I'll just kind of run through that. So take about 8 or 9 minutes of your time. So as I said, Tisha B'Av, by the way, Tisha means the number 9. It's the 9th day of Av. That's really what it is. And it's Wednesday night and Thursday. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So what if I was to ask you, what's the definition of a fast day? So fasting is one doesn't eat or drink for a certain length of time. Depending on the type of the reason for the fast dictates the length of time. There are 6 statutory public fasts. Yom Kippur is explicitly mentioned in the Torah. And the other 5 statutory public fasts were ordained by the sages. One of the statutory fasts is the fast of Esther, which is done the day before Purim. And the other 4 all has to do with regarding to the tragedies and that took place in Jerusalem. There are also other fasts called individual fasts. I don't know if you know, but bride and groom are supposed to fast on their wedding day. It's like a mini Yom Kippur because their sins are forgiven for the sake of the solemnity of the marriage. I'm wondering how many of us have done that. Dropping of a Torah, one must fast for 40 days. I don't know who came up with that rule. It seems like 40 days is an awful lot, but I don't know. But so what you're allowed to do, you can find like 39 other people to fast one day for you, so you don't have to fast the full 40 days. But that fast is a different kind of a day. Like you can get up before dawn, eat breakfast at like 4 in the morning, 5, it depends what time of year it is. And then, so it's not like a 25-hour fast like Yom Kippur. Individual fasting is also customary as an act of piety during a crisis of an exhibition of sorrow. King David did that. Of course, he had a relationship, an affair with Bathsheba, and she had a baby, and the baby was sick immediately, and David fasted and fasted, but to no avail, the baby died. So things like that, and there are other examples in Jewish history where people fasted because of their own personal tragedies. Firstborn sons are required to fast on the eve of Passover to commemorate the deliverance of the firstborn Israelites in Egypt. However, it's become customary for a rabbi to make a siyum on the morning before Pesach. So what's a siyum? A siyum is a public reading and explanation on the concluding passage of a tractate of Talmud. So when you complete something like that, you're supposed to have a seudah mitzvah, a festive meal. The firstborn who are present at the siyum may join in the festivities and eat. So Rabbi Eli Perlman, Rabbi Richard Perlman's oldest brother, he's the oldest son. And I think he does something like that on Zoom, like around 7 in the morning or something, the eve of Passover. So whoever in Zoom wasn't in the Talmud, but whoever joins in Zoom too, if you listen to the siyum in the end of a tractate of the Talmud, you can then eat for the rest of the day. So I just want to talk for a second about the Yom Kippur fast, since it's those rules that apply on Tisha B'Av as well. It says in the Torah, in the 7th month, on the 10th of the month, you shall afflict your souls, and you shall not do any work, etc. It's a Sabbath of complete rest for you. You shall afflict yourselves. It's an eternal decree. Rabbi Hirsch says it's misleading to use the word afflict. It's because it gives the idea of like inflicting pain. Afflict yourself, it's like pain. He said the phrase, initem et nafshotechem, which is the one in the Bible, literally means to make the soul pure. To make the soul poor. Ini oni, lechem oni, like called matzahs, lechem oni, comes from the root word oni, which means poor. Make the soul poor, which means to deny the soul the means of its existence, which means no eating or drinking. They say that when you eat bread, it satisfies the soul. That's what we're not supposed to do that day. In his Chumash, so what does he do in translating, instead of using the word afflict? He says, you shall starve your vital spirits. Different way of looking at it. We also are not allowed to pamper ourselves, like with perfume or skin or bath oils, wear shoes, because leather is supposed to be a sign of comfort. We're not supposed to wear it, of course, in Yom Kippur too. When I was growing up, if guys had like shoes on and they had an aliyah, they would take their shoes off before they came up. Not everybody had like sneakers and sailor boat shoes in those days. And you're not supposed to have any kind of physical pleasure either, like sex or back rubs or massages or anything like that. So the question is, let's say you don't like sex. Can you do it on Tisha B'Av then? Well, doesn't matter. I'll send my response to the Rabbinical Council, and I'm sure they'll take my smicha away. You have to talk about that. So anyways, these restrictions are included with fasting because the gratification of our bodily appetites is the principal source of sin. So the fast on Tisha B'Av has the same restrictions as Yom Kippur, except for the Sabbath. If Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, you still have to fast, because it says on the 10th day of the 7th month, no matter what day it falls on, that's the day you observe Yom Kippur. If Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbat, it's postponed till the next day, till Sunday, with all the other fasts as well, except for Yom Kippur. By the way, you're allowed to work on Tisha B'Av, but it's forbidden on Yom Kippur. With that, I have to tell you a little story. Not that I want to prolong this, but I was working for the Feuersteins at the Malden Knitting Mills in Malden. That was the original one, the Malden Knitting Mills, not the one in Lawrence with Aaron. This was his older brother Moses, and I worked for his son Henry. And it was Tisha B'Av, and I was going to fast. Henry says, me as a Jewish owner, and you as a Jewish employee, I have to give you the option whether you want to work or not today. Even though you can work, he says, it's up to you. If you don't want to work, it's up to you. I said, okay, I'll take the day off. After all, I'm fasting. I really didn't want to work. He says, great, you're coming to my house and we're going to learn. I said, oh, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, I think I'd rather work. But anyways, we went to his house. There's a whole wall full of books. Takes one book out and starts reading it in Hebrew and translating. So I'm about 20 years old, 21. And he starts translating it for me. It was a book on astrology and all of the zodiac signs. And he started to teach me about the different signs and how they relate to Judaism. The one I remember, of course, is my birthday. I'm a Libra. And it was scales because it was done in the fall. What's the Jewish version of scales? Your good deeds are weighed against your sins. And that's what we do in the fall. And that's what the reason, that's why they do scales. So I got to find that book, of course, the English version, but That was too much. He was such a great guy, Henry. He's still here. And Yom Kippur, of course, is a day of atonement where we spend most of the day, of course, praying and asking for forgiveness. Not so on Tisha B'Av. We fast because it's a tragic day in our history. So in order to talk about Tisha B'Av, we have to start with the 17th day of Tammuz, which was about 2.5 weeks ago. It marked the beginning of the destruction of Jerusalem. The Babylonians breached the walls of Jerusalem. For those of you who've been to Israel, you know they have all the big walls that are around the whole city. So on the 9th day of Tammuz, the Babylonians breached the walls. Years later, when the Romans came, they breached the walls on the 17th day of Tammuz. So the sages declared that the 17th day would be that time to represent both of those times, but also because there were other tragedies on the 17th day of Tammuz, which was why it was picked instead of the 9th day of Tammuz. I'm going to tell you those right now. One of them was Moses broke the original 10 Commandments tablets because of the children of Israel sinning with the golden calf. He threw them down. That was on the 17th day of Tammuz. It was the cessation of our daily sacrifices once the Romans started to take siege of the city. And a Torah was burned, and an idol was put in the temple by Apostomus during the period preceding the Maccabean revolt. There were 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, when the walls were breached on the 17th, and Tisha B'Av, when the temple was literally actually destroyed. They're considered days of mourning. No weddings, no concerts, no public celebrations or joyous celebrations that had taken place during the 3 weeks. When the month of Av comes, it's called the 9 days. It was really a great time for kosher butchers because they really abstained from like eating meat or drinking wine or doing any kind of celebration. So the only time they were allowed to eat meat during the 9 days was during Shabbat. So thank God I had a lot of Orthodox families and they ordered an awful lot of meat for Shabbat. So I was able to make a living for at least that week. And also one should refrain from like buying new clothes or getting haircuts, getting their nails done. So Tisha B'Av really started, I want to let you know, way before temple times. It was on Tisha B'Av when the spies came back from spying out the land of Canaan, and the report scared the children of Israel so much that it made them lose faith in God. They cried all night, decided they wanted to kill Moses and Aaron and appoint a new leader, take them back to Egypt. The Mishnah says God declared, "You wept without cause. I will therefore make this an eternal day of mourning for you." It was then decreed that on the 9th of Av, the temple would be destroyed and the children of Israel would go into exile. So there were other tragic events that happened on Tisha B'Av. I'm going to share them with you right now. The decree that the slave generation would not enter the land. The destruction of the first temple in 586 BCE and the second temple in 70 AD. There was also catastrophic loss of life and the loss of our Jewish sovereignty. In 1290, King Edward I signed an edict compelling his Jewish subjects to leave England. 1492, that's a famous year, we all learned it in school, right? 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella said to Columbus, "You can go ahead and go sail and we'll supply you with a few bucks and some food." He was supposed to sail on Tisha B'Av and he refused. They said that he left the next day. But also in 1492, they kicked all the Jews out of the country. That was the day they said, "You convert to Christianity or we're going to kill you or leave." That was on Tisha B'Av 1492. I don't remember reading that in my history books. And also it was the outbreak of World War I, which of course culminated into World War II, and we lost all of our Jewish relatives. Towards the end of Mariv, I'm almost done, on Tisha B'Av, we read Eicha, which is the book of Lamentations. It's a special tune. Da 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 da. I was supposed to do Lechadodi that way. Lechadodi lekrakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. But I didn't do it. So anyways, also there was a rabbi in the mid-1200s who said that tefillin is like ornaments. And it says in the book of Lamentations, it says that God said he cast down Tiferet Yisrael. We do our morning blesses. Otei Yisrael b'tifara. That's the ornaments that we put on, which is tefillin. And this guy ordained that we don't put them on in the morning to enhance our mourning, not M-O-R-N, but M-O-U-R-N. And we don't put on our tallis and tefillin until mincha. One more thing, and then I'll conclude. Our sages forbade the study of sacred literature because it's like joyful thing to study Torah. I like studying Torah. I liked even preparing my talk for tonight. I like that. Except the books that fit the mood of the day, like the book of Job and parts of the Talmud and Midrash to tell of the destruction of Jerusalem. So there you have it. That's Tisha B'Av. So I just like to appeal to you. So some of you might fast, some of you might not fast. But I just want to appeal to you that on Thursday, it starts on Wednesday night here in the temple, we read the book of Lamentations. Just think of the day. Think of what we actually lost. We had a marriage with God, and he said, you guys want a divorce? You want to start having an affair with other people? Okay, well, I'm kicking you out of the house. And not only am I kicking you out of your land and our house and our property, I'm going to burn down our house too. And that's what happened way back then in the year 70, if you want. It's over 2,000 years ago. So we should at least consider the day and just understand that Thursday was a really bad day in history and just take cognizance of it. Even if you don't fast, just say, it's a sad day in Jewish history for us all. And God, we're waiting for you to come back again. But he's waiting for an invitation. So with that, let's invite God back to us, with us. And we now rise for the Aleinu on page 51. Aleinu l'shavech ladon hakol, latet gedula liyotze bereshit, shelo asanu kigei haratzon, velo samanu kimizbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, begor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד ארד מלכנו אפס זולתו קרקעתו בתורתו וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל והארץ מתחת אין עוד אין עוד. Okay, go on. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. This time we'd like to remember the yortzites of those in our congregation for this week. Leah Beres, Elaine Grover, Aaron Posner, Erwin Rosenzweig, Naomi Kopans, Andrew Feynman, Peter Harris, Laura Shapiro, Beatrice K. Gessen, Manuel Goldberg, Evelyn Kurtzer, Celia Levine, Irving Brody, Max Kirstein, Yeda Limak, Maya Shapiro, Muriel Perlman, Carl Toltz, David Wallman, Shirley Adelman, Esther Cherkis, Bernard Schumann, Harold Block, and Frida Cutler. Are there any other yortzites for this week? I know. A lot of people we remember, aren't they? And we invite those who mourn, those observing a yortzeit, to praise God's name with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra kirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon u'b'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala u'v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam u'mei omaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei kucha, barichu, le'ela, min kol, birchata, v'shirata, tushbachata, v'nechamata, damiram v'alma, v'yamru, amen. Yehei shlama rava, min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru, amen. O says shalom, bimramav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru amen. You may be seated. And if I can ask Loretta to come up, please, and make the announcements for tonight. Thanks so much.
Shabbat Shalom. Saturday morning services are at 9:30. Congregation. Let me start again. Congregants observing a Yotzai often request a minyan. These requests are listed in the weekly e-blast. Please support your temple family members by attending the daily minyan. Sunday morning at 9 a.m., in-person and virtual, breakfast and study to follow the minyan. Evening minyanim is Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m., in-person and virtual. And take a deep breath because there's a lot of stuff coming up. Ready? Join our adult education group for an outdoor theater experience in Rockport on July 25th. We will be attending a performance of Rite of Passage, and the tickets are done. Correct, Esther? Yeah, see Esther, but we're done. Should be a nice day. Join us on Wednesday, July 26th at 7 p.m. as we observe the fast of Tisha B'Av. Adult Education Book Club on Thursday, August 24th. We'll be reading 100 Summers by Beatrice Williams. Save the date, a barbecue for prospective and current members on Sunday, August 27th at 5:30 p.m. Don't forget, give to the back to school drive for Citizens Inn. There's a bin in Founders Hall, and you can see the e-blast for more details. Registration for religious school, it's right around the corner, is now open for grades pre-K through 7. Pre-K, they're going to start a pre-K program, which is exciting. Contact Alyssa Pesaroff-Koshel for more information. The next Lunch and Learn will be on September 7th. And don't forget that we study every Sunday morning with the rabbis following services. And if you're able to cover the temple office on a Tuesday or a Thursday, please let us know. Lots happening, and all the information for all these events are in our weekly bus. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Loretta, for doing that. Is there another announcement? Adult Ed Committee meeting.
On
Zoom.
this
Thursday night.
The link is in the e-blast.
Okay, the Zoom link is in the e-blast. So this is this Thursday, right? Of course, services are at 7 o'clock, and it's immediately following or a few minutes after. Thanks, Loretta. By the way, Kit Perlman had some surgery this week, and she's doing okay, but the rabbi is home with her and taking care of her. So that's why he's not here tonight. But she's doing all right. But get well prayers. It's okay to keep them on there for a little while anyways. So let's conclude the service with the Yigdal on page 53. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yein eid el metziuto echad v'yein yachid ki yichudo ne'elam v'gam ein sof li'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'yein guf Lona aroch elav kedushato kadmon lechov davar asher nivra rishon v'en reshi lereshito hino adon olam b'chol notza yareh gedulato malchuto shefa nevuato nitano elan segulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael Kemoshe od navi umabid et temunato Torah temet natan liamoel ayad neviyo neman beito lo yachali fo'el velo yamir dato Leolamim lezulato tofev yodeya sitarenu mabid lisof davar b'kadmato gomel ish chesed kimifalo noten l'rashara kirishat Yishuato, Yishbakret Yamin, Mishichenu, lift out Mechakeket, Yishuato, make Tim Yechayael, Berov Chasto, Baruch Adeyad, Shem Tehilato, make Tim Yechayael, Berov Chasto, Baruch Adeyad, Shem Tehilato. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and look forward to joining with the rear of the sanctuary.
I mean, like I say,